Hi guys, welcome back for yet another video. I got something kind of special for y'all today. So special that this is actually going to be a little two-parter. This computer that you see right here came from a friend of mine in Nebraska. It's an older HP Media Center type PC. That's how they marketed them back then. A lot of these HPs, you'd see them, they're like all-in-one computer. It does everything, and the specs for it you'll see in the links that on the builds.gg site that I left there. If you want to go check this out, what's in here. What makes this computer special is the things that you can do to it that many people might not be aware of. Now, the maximum processor that the computer supports, according to HP, would be like a Q9650 Core 2 Quad CPU. And the max memory that it will support is 8 gigs. But something else about this board that makes it special is you can actually modify the microcode for the BIOS and make this thing take a Xeon. Now, I'm not going to put a Xeon in this one because it's not my computer to be playing around with to do that to. But you can actually buy a Xeon chip that's already been cut out, the notches in it, or else you can do a hack to your CPU socket and cut out the notches there so that the Xeon will fit. I think it's the 5450 Xeon. I can't remember the number right offhand, but you could make that fit in here, and that would be the equivalent of the Q9650, which is pretty much about the top end of the line CPU that you're going to get going into this computer. Hold on here. This screen's going blank. Okay, I gotta switch back to my VGA. 1 second here. What I'm doing right now is I'm backing up the files on this. This has Zorin on it at the moment. I don't know if you can see that. Little backstory on this for a minute here. Originally, this computer had Windows Vista, and Christy was having some problems with it, so she took it to a computer tech guy to fix. And evidently, he must be one of these kind of, fashionable Reddit idiots that think, oh, down with Microsoft, Linux is awesome, and he took Windows off of it, and he replaced it with Zorin. Now, don't get me wrong here. I like Linux. I use Linux myself, and I actually taught my daughter how to dabble in it a bit because she uses it for a graphics art program that seems to, for her, run better in Linux than it does in Windows. So, I'm not, an anti-Linux type person. But if you're running a computer store, I've done it for, 30 some years, and you kind of get to know what the people want. And when you take something like Vista and, you tell somebody, oh, this is old, this computer's not worth doing anything with anymore, and here, I'll just give you, Linux, and boom, everything will be great again. You're kind of doing a disservice to yourself because the person that you're doing this for might not be, and usually won't be, familiar with running a Linux distribution. I mean, myself, if I was going to do it, I'd put like Linux Mint on it. That's my favorite flavor. But no, I mean, if he was going to fix this for her, he should have put Windows back in it. Considering this board, and he should have researched it. He should have, at minimum. Let's shine a light here. You can see these modules. There's 4 modules in there. This comes with 4 gigs stock. He could have, changed those out, put 8 gigs in here, maxed out her memory, put Windows 10 in here, and it would have ran just fine, at minimum. You know, there would have been a little bit of a charge for that, but yeah. But, I mean, that's what he did. He put Zorin on here, and I noticed the video card's missing. I'm not sure what's up with that. I forgot to ask Chrissy about that. I just got this to look inside to see this, and that, I think it's like an 8500 NVIDIA. I can't remember right offhand. You'd have to look at the specs, but it would certainly be a lot better than the onboard, which is what this is using right now, is the onboard video. Obviously, you can't do 1080p with this. But, yeah, that's something I'm going to have to look at, too. Another thing that I noticed that is really kind of a pet peeve of mine. I don't know if we can see it because the fan, well, maybe, yeah, you can kind of see it. Look how dirty that fan is. Okay, see this? It's got shit everywhere around it. Now, and this fan too, it's got a bunch of shit on it. It needs to be cleaned up. Now, this kind of pisses me off because if you're going to call yourself a PC technician, you should know that if somebody brings a computer in to be fixed, you're going to do some other maintenance to it too. And one of those things would be cleaning up all that extra crap that's in there on that fan. And he did not do that. I don't know if it's just laziness. Maybe he just didn't care. Maybe he forgot. I don't know. I'm not going to ponder that, but he didn't do it. And it looks like shit. But no worries, because this is going to get changed. I think Chrissy finally had it with Zorin and couldn't take it no more. And said, oh, I got to do something about this. So, she contacts me. Of course, I don't live in Nebraska anymore. I live up in Iowa. And, well, she talked to her husband, and she asked her husband, and her husband's like, well, that thing's old. Just throw it out. It's no good. And so she asked me about it, and she sent me a couple pictures. And what she had sent me was like right on the back here. You can see it. It says M8000, and then, of course, there's the serial number, and then the product number. And then up front on the cover, and I have that off. I'll show you that to you real quick. She sent me a picture of this, and I wasn't really paying too much attention. I just took a quick look and see, Windows Vista, NVIDIA, and I did a quick Google on the M8000, and what I had come up with originally was that this was probably an Enforce board. And so I had messaged her back, and I said, well, this not really the greatest. You might want to just, throw it out, whatever. And I put the serial number in on HP's website, and it didn't come back. I mean, this thing was so old that HP doesn't support it anymore. It's not even in their system. So I didn't think too much of it. And then a little while later, it started bugging me a little bit. I'm like, what the hell is that, Because I happened to notice, because I was looking at her message again, and I happened to notice this sticker on the side that said Core 2 Quad. And I was like, Core 2 Quad? If that's a Core 2 Quad, then that can't be an Enforce. I mean, I know NVIDIA did, if I remember right, make an obscure chipset that did support Intel processors. And so I'm like, well, that can't be the correct model that I'm seeing there on Google. And so I'm like, man, I got to figure this out. So what I did is I typed in the product number, and bingo, that led me right to HP's website and told me exactly what this thing was. And I was like, oh, okay, this kind of changes things a little bit. So I did some research, and I'm like, well, what motherboard is that, And it's on HP's website. Now we can see it right here if you can read it. Let's see if I can get the camera in there. IPIBL-LB. I think that's what it is. Anyways, turns out that if you go on, what is that website? Let me switch back here real fast to the screen. I have it bookmarked. Right now I'm burning a Windows Vista thing. Oh, it looks like it's ready too, so we'll close that up real quick here. But anyways, let me go to my bookmarks here. Delidded.com. That's where you can find information about putting a Xeon chip into a socket 775 board. And it turns out, right here, this motherboard is on that list. And right here it says an E5450 work and an L5420. And it says it needs Xeon microcode update. Used in the HP Pavilion Media Center M8430f, and which is exactly what we got here. So I was like, oh, cool. Because, like I said, you can put a 9650 in here, and that's a pretty cheap processor. Well, it's cheap for what it does. You can probably get them on eBay now for about $40. I think that's about what they're going for. But you can go even cheaper than that if you go to AliExpress and type in E5450 and 775 E5450. Wait a minute, 775. I'm sorry, E5450. And you will find CPUs. A lot of them are already notched out for you, and they're cheap. Look at this, $14.50 for this one, 63 cents shipping. And if we can zoom in on the pictures of it, let's take right there. If you look on the upper left and right hand side, see those little notches? That's something these Chinese guys have been doing with them to resell them, is they'll notch them out so people can just drop them into the motherboard and go. Now, the E5450 Xeon chip is basically the same thing as a Q9650, except less than half the price. And it runs at a lower wattage, and it's easier to overclock. Now, that's kind of too good a deal to pass up. Now, on this particular motherboard, you can't overclock because they don't have those settings in the BIOS. But you can absolutely run that Xeon in there. I'm not doing that. I'm actually going to put a Q9650 in here. Like I said, it's not my board to be playing around with her BIOS and hacking her little motherboard. I mean, it is old, but I told her, you know what, I'm going to fix this thing and I'm going to do it right. And that's my intention. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to max out that CPU and I'm going to max out the memory. I mean, duh. I mean, as old as this is and for as cheap as you can get this stuff for. I mean, the memory, it's going so cheap on eBay. Like the sellers are practically paying you to take it off their hands. It's almost that cheap. Not that cheap. I mean, $20 will easily get you 8 gigs for 2 gig sticks of DDR2, which is what this is. Ideally, though, I mean, if you want to run a Xeon, look for a DDR3 board. AliExpress also sells socket 775 boards that you can do this hack on. It's just a matter of getting the Unicode for that board that they are selling and modifying the BIOS, flashing the BIOS on there, dropping one of these modified chips in there, and for as little as under $50 you can get a brand new motherboard with DDR3. Maybe some of them support USB 3, I don't remember. But then, the Xeon chip in there, and you're rocking some pretty decent frames. I mean, go on to YouTube and just search for Q9650 gaming and check out what people are getting on that for frame rate. Not bad. You know, it's not horrible. It's not great, you know, but it's not bad. And a lot of people that are doing this, you know, for that cheap price are probably budget gamers. You know, this is really who that would be more focused at, is people that don't have a lot of money. Maybe they have one of these old towers, you know, maybe they went dumpster diving and found one. Maybe you might know somebody that's got one of these old things in their house, and maybe it's broke or something, hard drive's out or whatever, and they aren't doing nothing with it. And, well, shit, offer them like $5 for it or something. Like, I'll take it off your hands. I'll, you know, strip it out, something, you know, just get it off them, finesses off them, you know, don't spend much on this. It's honestly not worth spending high dollar amounts on. If you want to fix this up, you can do it cheaply, and, you know, like I said, you can get some decent frames out of it. You can do some decent gaming. I'm going to, like I said, change out that video card. Well, I don't have a video card, but I'm going to put a video card in there, and I'm going to put something that I think kind of pairs well with the capabilities of this processor and its memory limits. Hard drive's going to get pulled too. It's going to stay, but it's going to be used as a secondary drive, backup drive. You know, it's still good. I ain't making too much noise or anything, and I'll run some checks on it and make sure it's working. But I'm also and you'll see right here, this thing is a TV tuner. Asus makes this too, and believe it or not, this TV tuner does work in Windows 10. I mean, if you look around and search for it, like under the model for it, people are like, oh, what do I do? It's not working. They don't make the software for it no more. What do I do? Well, it's not that hard. Kodi works for it. WinTV software works. Next PVR, I believe, works. I mean, there's a couple different options out there to get the TV tuner working if that's your thing and you want to have TV on your computer to watch. I'm actually going to pull this out. She's never watched TV on it. I think it's kind of a waste. I think there's better things I could do with that PCI Express slot there that it's in. And one of the things I am thinking I'm going to go with, and it's not going to be this one in particular, it's going to be a different one, but something like this, which is an add-in card. To add USB 3.0, because this motherboard does not have 3.0 on it. What I have in mind actually has an internal USB 3.0 header, so that I will be able to hook up front USB 3.0 ports, as well as add an additional couple more USB ports in the back. I think that would be more beneficial than putting the TV tuner back in there and getting that and working for her. It just makes more sense to do that. It kind of modernizes this board a little bit more. And then, of course, you know, nice SSD in there. This is going to be a pretty rocking board. Now, you see in the title the case I'm going to use, and you're going to see that in the next part. Like I said, right now I'm just doing kind of some prep work, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish backing up her files that were put on back on here for her, and then I'm going to install Windows Vista temporarily, and the reason I'm doing that is to update that BIOS, so that it's got the latest BIOS in there. It looks like there was some kind of fan issue in the last BIOS that it fixes, and so I want to make sure everything's up to date. Make sure that Q9650 is actually going to work in here. And then another thing to mention is on this board, it looks like it only has two fan headers. One is a DC 12 volt right there that you see, and then the other one is the CPU, which is PWM. I kind of want to take advantage of that PWM just because it helps keep things a little bit quieter when we can set the proper speed for the fan corresponding to the CPU that's going to go in here. And since the CPU is going to be changed out, another thing I want to do, I'm going to look at it. I'm pretty sure this board is capable of it. There's a secret engineer's setting to get to into the BIOS where you can actually mess with the fan PWM. It's usually by like you access the BIOS on this with F10, I believe it is. It's usually done by just holding down the control key while spamming F10, and that should get you to the secret settings in the BIOS. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, you know, Google it, YouTube it. It's on there. But if I remember right, because I've worked with this board before, but God, it's been so many years. But yeah, if I remember right, you can absolutely do that, and that's what I'm going to do. I got some other cool stuff that I'm going to do to it. I told her I was going to fix it, and you know, if you've seen my videos, you know how, you know, when I fix it, I fix it. So yeah, take a look now. Take your last look at this. When you come back for part 2, it's going to be a pretty kick-ass looking little system. And that's it for now, and I will see you guys in part 2. Bye.